Okay, well, we're live on video settings. Hear us. So,
What'd you say?
exactly. Well, they end up. When I added these things, it
You comment on there?
nice, Phil. Oh, real nice.
I believe it was.
Real
Well, I was
nice.
hoping it worked.
Yes. Yeah, it works. You people.
Hope's redeemed.
I guess we should start recording.
Well, that's why we're here.
Let's just sit back and relax for a bit.
Yeah.
We can.
Face space only.
Face based. Morning, everybody. It's Gather the Nerd, episode 88. It's Ocho Ocho.
Ocho Ocho.
I'm Cav, that's Nick.
What's up, guys?
And Church is.
Hey guys.
So, we are live on Facebook and YouTube per usual. We've got a cool new Facebook chat feature, which we are not updating our privacy policy, unlike everybody
Just
else.
because we
in
don't
the
have
world.
one.
So, I'll explain what that is a little bit later when we get into tech stuff and why your box is full of that stuff. Blame the European Union.
He sets it up only to say later.
Later.
On
There's some
today's
teasers
on
out
this
there.
show today,
we have to
we're going to have a
build-
special guest.
You have to build the tension. Like,
I don't know. I just hit delete, so whatever.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I think we need to preview our episodes in a way like Top Gear used to do.
How is that?
On
like-
today's episode,
Yeah, see, that's what I think too. If you're gonna do all that, you gotta.
Jeremy
gotta do
insults
that.
a clown. Something like that.
Yeah.
Captain Slow drives a Lamborghini
Cab challenges the entire E EU.
and loses.
And lose. We see, that's what I do whenever I write the description that goes on the pods every time.
Yeah,
Is I
yeah, that's
basic-
perfect.
I do it after the fact though, because
Yeah,
we
need
never-
we need like a third party audio person just to read that every time. So like not our voices, somebody else.
So before
Like
the pod,
Tyson.
do something like that. Well, we can modulate our voices. I can do all kinds.
Yeah.
So
Mitch.
basically, it's that the intro and that.
Oh yeah, Mitch.
Mitch.
Mitch could
Mitch is our voice man,
On today's
could do it.
episode.
and he's laughing throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, probably.
He says it and then laughs,
do
and goes on to the next one and laughs.
These guys are going to be talking about all this
guys.
stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Oh man, ask when we were going in to see Solo.
Oh no, I turned around
You-
and looked
you
at him,
heard it?
and
You heard it?
I go, Mitch. And he goes,
I was patting him on his shoulder because the guy said it and he just went.
yeah, and then he started chuckling, and the guy looked at Mitch, and I'm thinking, oh, don't do it, don't do it, don't say it.
Oh, that was good.
So then on our whole row, because you were in front of us, that was all we were talking about, is just making tons of jokes.
Yeah.
Cav almost, set himself up for a really good one.
Oh yeah, I stopped right in the middle of it. I was
He
like,
got-
and
he
I'm
got
done.
so close, and I was like, ooh, that was good.
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
Because it played on multiple levels. that's an Xbox chat only
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
Yes. It is. So yeah.
NSFP. Not safe for podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Not safe for regular life.
True. It's Memorial Day weekend.
It
so
is.
happy
Thank you
Memorial
for all
Day.
that have served and sacrificed.
Like you said, those who have served, and I was reading an interesting article talking about how most retail establishments don't really talk about what Memorial Day is about. It's just especially car dealers. But yeah, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than $5,000 off.
Which is still 15,000 over markup. So it's
Probably.
okay.
Probably. So let's get into it. We've got little DC, Marvel, a lot of Star Wars. We're not going to spoil Solo.
Wait, Star Wars? What?
Star Wars.
Did they just release?
Trek Wars.
Dude, they just came out with The Last Jedi.
Like, what's the big deal?
Is that what we're talking about?
Sort of, actually. You're a little closer than you think. Without talking about Solo. We've got some TV stuff, some follow-up on a lot of story. Like, this week has been, like, the follow-up for stories we've done in the past. and we're gonna get into a little bit of murky territory, talking about the new NFL anthem policy.
I liked what Steve Kerr said. I'm gonna say up on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't read what he said yet, but I can probably agree with it.
You just watch it, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that stuff. So where would we like to begin?
Let's talk about the FBI telling the router users to reboot now to kill malware.
All right, let's
infecting
get right in.
500,000 devices.
Let's get right into tech, because unfortunately our tech stories are all scary.
We need to have some happy tech stories.
Or we need to.
We need to.
Yeah.
So would that be like the new Apple Watch coming out?
No, happy.
Oh.
So
Not you're going to be
I'm
in
making
debt.
an arcade game at my house. Does that count?
That
That's
is
happy
pretty
news.
legit.
That's pretty happy.
Hopefully going to cut out the cabinet today.
We need an article written about that.
There's plenty online. I didn't need to
Well,
read-
yours specifically.
I'm using somebody else's plan. So I'm not
we should
creative.
post the plans on Facebook for people who are interested.
Pay me $5 a plan. I will, because that's how much I paid.
Then
Or
take
you can go
pictures.
buy them from the person.
Yeah, well, link to the person then.
Okay, I'll be happy to do
once
that.
Once you're done, link to the person.
I
So,
will. He's got Casper mattress money, so it might be
Nice.
beneficial to link him.
Speaking of thanks, before we get started, I got my print, the Mask of the Phantasm print from Robot House that I ordered last week.
Oh
They
yeah,
had, I think,
yeah.
whatever.
How's that look?
It's awesome.
How big
it's
is it?
legit. It's your standard like 11 by 17
Okay.
type size.
For some reason, I was thinking it was like one of those bigger movie posters.
No, it's smaller. It's
Okay.
limited to 15. I got 15 of.
Gotcha.
So that was cool. So thanks to those guys for getting it here. I appreciate that. So here is your tech warning stories of the week. So there's this malware that is out right now, similar to what's happened with cameras and stuff in the past, which is
like the DDoS stuff.
it affects, they call it the Internet of Things, IoT devices. And just because routers and cameras, stuff like that, once they install, they rarely ever get updated again. And so once somebody finds something worth breaking into, it will, a lot of times this stuff gets infected and never gets, that's huge DDoS attacks, things like that. So the FBI found one of these malwares, figured out how it functioned, and seized the domain name that it was checking into. So like these routers or these devices are infected. It checks into this domain to get basically like instructions, additional files, things like that. So the FBI sees the domain name, so that goes away. But the thing about a lot of these IoT things is that malware cannot survive a reboot. Reboots, it clears it. And so what the FBI is saying, if you haven't rebooted your router recently, they don't even care if it's on the list. You should reboot it now. Just in case you are infected, there's that. It also affects things like network detached storage, like QNAP, like a couple of things that I've got. Now I run the latest firmwares, but all those things got rebooted. So look out. It's always a good idea to reboot things. Got a tech friend.
Do we have any tech friends?
No, we don't.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, I really
don't
need
know
them to come into
anyone.
my house, and that would be way too convenient.
Yeah.
For somebody that
That lived like a couple miles away.
5 miles away. I'd even be in his house. I don't know.
Yeah.
Golly.
Who's willing?
No, he's definitely not willing. I think I'd have better chance if I told him he had to eat Chipotle for dinner if he didn't.
Yeah,
that might motivate him.
Yeah, maybe.
But I doubt it.
Does he hate Chipotle?
It gives him. I'll let him tell you what it does.
Like I feel like how you feel right now, like you got hit by a truck. If I eat Chipotle the next day,
Oh, we're
I
talking
feel
about Cav.
Yeah.
Who do you think I was talking about?
I didn't know who you were talking about. I thought
yeah.
this was an entire hypothetical.
Oh,
No, there's something in. Yeah, there is something in Chipotle
Yeah.
that, like, the next day I feel like I get hit by a truck.
yeah, I just.
Has the panda effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
The panda or the what did Sam have? The
McDonald's.
the
something or other.
McDonald's
The McDonald's
steak,
and
egg,
cheese,
and bagel.
steak, egg, and cheese
He
bagel.
said mistakes were made. That cracked me up.
How do you mess that up? It's
so
easy.
many ways.
Yeah, but why? Why? It's something so pure and lovable. And why do you
Like
mess
the
that
McRib?
up? Oh, the McRib is amazing.
But it's not a rib.
That's fine.
It
It's
looks like a
shaped
rib.
like
though.
one.
Call
I
it
know.
whatever you
I've
want.
watched our students eat them before. This
Rhode
is
Island is
disgusting.
neither a road nor an island.
This is true. This is true.
I like the McRib better than Rhode Island.
And today's
at least it
episode,
resembles
Church,
a rib, right?
Yeah, Church challenges Rhode Island.
And wins.
So far, I've challenged
Because it is
you.
not a road nor an island.
So reboot your routers, people, and any other network-attached devices, cameras, things like that. It's a good idea to do that.
Back to the downtrodden news.
Back to the downtrodden news. So let's.
Too bad we don't know a tech guy.
Too bad you don't know a tech guy. I'm retired.
From 5 p.m. on Friday to 7 a.m. on
Hey,
Monday.
he got too old for this.
I got too old for this stuff.
All right, Lethal Weapon.
I mean, the thing is, like, some people I will, but for a lot of time, like close friends, I will, but I can't. Guess
we're not on that list.
You're not. No, you are. I'd bail you out if I had to.
He's our Tony Stark.
I don't know if I'm Tony Stark level.
You are compared to me. Because, let's see, I would be Hawkeye.
You would shoot your router with an arrow?
Yeah. I haven't tried that yet.
This is how I get my internet to work.
But that's kind of, I'm at the,
It shorts it
banging
out.
on it. I'm at the treating it like an old console.
Nice.
Smack it, it might work. If it doesn't, hey, it felt good.
If the arrow hits in the right place, it could be a Wi-Fi antenna.
Exactly.
Oh, let's talk about something else scary. Amazing. I love it. Amazon Alexas, several of them are running in this house.
It's a good thing we didn't talk about that thing.
Yeah, I actually got a conversation from you emailed to me yesterday.
Was it questionable?
Very sad.
Because I was here by myself yesterday.
He was watching Matrix.
He was watching The Notebook and he was crying.
I was watching The Notebook.
The Notebook.
I actually watched The Matrix on 4K. It's gorgeous.
Shut up.
So there was a news article that got out.
Do you have to have a 4K player?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not even like a normal Blu-ray. It's like a whole
different
separate
disc,
thing.
Yeah.
Of course it would be.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Why
But
would
you have an Xbox S or not S? Is it black or is it white?
It's black.
You have a regular. S
There
is
we go.
complete. Prices 4K players are really down now.
Like 9 million.
Oh no, like you.
Okay, it's not bad.
So,
That's the only reason I got the Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
One Black Friday, it was literally $50.
So to watch The
like
Matrix, I would need to spend $140.
Yeah, if you wanted
Yeah.
movie.
all right. So
Tell you what, just watch it on TV.
let's talk about
Standard.
Amazon
Standard.
Alexa. Then we're going to get into Church's issue with the price of The Matrix on 4K. So Amazon Alexa sent a conversation that somebody had. Mitch says audio is choppy, but you can hear us. Yeah.
You're choppy, Mitch.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna silence detection here. That's probably gonna. All right, Mitch. See if that's any better. So a family was having a conversation about hardwood floors, and said conversation got recorded by Alexa, and then sent to somebody's home or to one of his employees as some sort of attachment or something like that. It got sent to him. Now, Amazon has looked into this. I'm not sure I believe their explanation, but it says an unlikely string of events have happened. This is Amazon's statement. They said the company said the device interpreted a word in the background. Excuse me. In the background conversation as Alexa.
On Facebook, by the way.
Says who?
Says Church's
We're looking at it right now.
stream that he's got up.
Mitch says the audio's better. He just chimed in.
Video's frozen.
Let's take a look. It might be because I did.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I gotta silence that or we're gonna get in the audio loop from. Yeah, audio's not frozen.
Okay, never mind.
All right, so they say the device interpreted a word in the background conversation as Alexa, the command that basically wakes it up. Then it interpreted a word in the conversation as send message, At which point Alexa said out loud, "To whom?" The statement said, at which point the background conversation was interpreted as a name in the customer's contact list. Alexa then asked out loud, "Contact name, right?" Alexa then interpreted background conversation as right.
I'm not buying that. 'Cause
Yeah, I'm
I've
not
heard
either.
your Alexa chime on, and it's very noticeable.
It freezes
you're
the
not-
conversation.
If you're not in an argument, I mean, you're going to be noticing that. If you're talking about hardwood floor, like that's not a passionate conversation. I hope.
Well, you never know.
I mean, I guess it depends why you're.
I want
flooring your
chocolate
house.
mocha. No,
Is that actually a color?
Yeah.
It's not just like a drink at Starbucks.
They're naming hardwood floor colors after food.
yes,
So there's a chocolate mocha.
there's a chocolate mocha.
Is there a
hardwood
snickerdoodle? Is there an Oreo?
What if there's a trolley gummy worm?
floor. Nice.
I want Oreo floors.
Oreo floor. Black floors with white grout. Basically.
Oh god, that would just make me want cookies and cream all the time.
It'd probably look really cool though if you think about it.
So
I think Mitch likes Oreos.
they
I know he likes upside down cake and dump cake.
Let's see, what do they got? Sorry, Cav.
I got to tell that story yesterday too because there
You're
was
fine.
pineapple
Just
upside
shaking
down
his
cake.
head over there.
at this point you're just like way off the reservation. In
It's all
terms
good.
of-
This is what
It's
people
fun
want.
over here.
Yeah. So we got. So yeah, an unlikely string of events, but something that did happen apparently, and was, I mean, I'm not sure I really believe them as much as they say. Like I understand, like the wake words and things like that. I get. Because I've had Alexa turn on randomly when I say stuff that sounds sort of like Alexa.
Sure.
But part
So
of
then,
that,
what do you say when that happens?
I just stay
Shut
quiet.
up, Alexa.
Yeah. Shut it, Alexa. No, I don't say anything. But
You
the
just stop talking until it turns off.
pretty much. Yeah.
It's like that awkward silence.
The interesting thing is, so Alexas are the more you use it, the more it's tuned to your voice.
Right.
So it is more likely that happens if it has to use a broader range of acceptance, basically. Like you can, if you use the Alexa app, you go through this whole like language thing, so it learns your language. But on the flip side is, so you can go into your Amazon account and if you go into your Amazon account and you can destroy all the data basically on your Alexa. You can all your recordings, everything that it's heard, you can destroy it from the app. But then it loses all the data in regards to how it recognizes your voice. And so you have to basically start over at that point. So
Does that happen when you unplug it?
no.
No.
No, because all the data is stored in the cloud.
Gotcha.
So
Do you do this
yes.
frequently?
Yes.
You delete everything?
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't like. Here's the thing: if you
Pretty
look at
safe move.
if you look at my history, like my history is Alexa connect Bluetooth. Like that's really all it really is, because I usually connect to my phone, just use it as a speaker. Occasionally, it's like Alexa, what's the weather, traffic, blah blah blah. But there's nothing there. So
when you
Alexa, play The Notebook.
exactly,
when you delete everything on the Alexa, do you still have history of it, or is
No.
it nukes that as well?
it's gone.
Wow.
All your search
Even on the cloud.
yeah, you delete it
Interesting.
off the cloud. Yeah.
Huh.
So
Pretty cool.
and you can ask, when I first got the Alexa, I'd ask it really random questions, like just to see what it answers or whatever. But every time, I will
Like you're
say,
over the cool factor now.
I am
Like,
over
it's
the
just-
cool factor now.
It's
now
utility.
Now it's utility. It's Alexa Connect Bluetooth, so I have a speaker in my kitchen. Like,
Even though you have
I know
a stereo system in the room connected to your
it is
kitchen
easier
with no
for
wall.
me to say Alexa Connect Bluetooth than it is to turn it on and connect my phone because I don't have to touch anything. Laziness.
Yeah.
Touching things is for bums.
Exactly.
And here I thought I was lazy because I waited like 2 weeks to mow my lawn.
No, he's found new levels.
Hey,
Actually, he
respect,
had
though.
Alexa find them for him.
Exactly.
Alexa,
Tell me how to
find
be lazy.
tell me how to be more lazy and efficient at the same time.
Exactly.
Mitch says, "What sort of sounds like Alexa, though? Like
it-
what could
Alexa.
accidentally be Alexa? Like a T-Alexa?
T-Rexa.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rexa. I think I said complex or complex,
Suplexa.
something like that, and it picked it up. But
It used to pick up, like, Shanna and I will occasionally watch WWE, and there's a wrestler on there. Her name is Alexa Bliss,
yeah,
and it would pick that up.
nice.
And so we had to DC it when we watched it.
Yeah.
Because it was constantly just firing off.
Yeah, now there's more wake words
Off
now.
the top turnbuckle.
There's I think there's Amazon, Alexa. I think computer also is a new.
I
like
liked
word.
computer.
Yeah, I just say the word computer too much, and I say the word Amazon too much. Alexa's a name. It's something I don't use. Like,
If only they could have it be Miguel Barrett's voice, though.
all I want is to be able to say like Jarvis. Like I want Jarvis. As a
I
weak
thought
word.
somebody came out with a way to do that.
Yeah, it's
I
not
think you have to. I think you have to jailbreak it, but
if there is, I haven't done it yet.
I swear I saw something that somebody came out with a way to do that.
So-
It's been about a year ago when I saw that, but
Yeah,
yeah, that would be cool to say Jarvis.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would Jarvis. Yeah,
Except the minute
I would
that
worried
you could
what
do
that
it,
would spawn, though.
well, the minute that you could,
Ultron, Ultron. Tell me how to.
the minute that you do it though, you know everybody else is doing it too. So
Oh yeah.
everybody's gonna have a Jarvis in their house.
So, let's talk about your disdain for the price of the Matrix 4K, George.
I don't like it.
Okay, moving on. So the Matrix came out on 4K with a fairly significant price, like on sale, $31.99. Because the thing, it's a total move by the movie company or whatever, because they know that the Matrix is one of those titles that that most people will just buy regardless of the price to see it on 4K. Same thing with Pacific Rim. It's because it's a reference title. It's something you want to demo. It's something and that is it is unfortunate, but I imagine it will probably be that price for some time. I don't know if they will ever get if they're going to do the second and the third ones, but I imagine they will. It looks good for as
They'd
old
have
as
to for a trilogy. I mean,
it looks good for as old as it is, 99. I mean, there's a few spots that you can tell, but a few things I never noticed before, and I've seen that movie like 20 times. But it's
The red pill and the blue pill are actually green.
exactly that's funny you mentioned
they're actually
that.
M&Ms.
It's funny you mentioned that.
I would say they're Skittles, but Cav would eat them.
That's very true. The original Matrix release on Blu-ray, stuff like that, even to this one, has a very distinct green hue when they're in the Matrix.
Mhm.
So much so that, and they didn't really tell people that, and so people were tuning their home theaters based on the Matrix. So they were pushing everything hard green because they thought that was reference color, like that was supposed to be the normal color. So I mean, hundreds of people tuned their theater based on that, and it was completely wrong. And so they did adjust some of the green tones in this one for 4K. I think they had to because it would show up way bigger in 4K because the color gamute's bigger. But it is pretty dang gorgeous. Not gonna lie, and the audio is out of this world. So
That was one of my favorite things about it. I'd never seen them. I mean, granted, no one had ever seen a movie that looked like that, but I'd never watched a movie that sounded that good.
mm-hmm.
I mean, right from the start when they kicked the door in.
Yeah.
Those sounds are now iconic. They are hardwired up here.
Mm-hmm. Is that the soundtrack too? I mean, it was.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
The soundtrack was incredible.
yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that I know the title of what is it? Beat to Death with a Club?
Yeah.
Chiromono mix.
Yeah.
So good.
Very good.
Very iconic for
So if you're
for that.
in the market, it's out there. Gladiator also came out a couple weeks ago on 4K. I haven't watched it yet, but I imagine it looks
Are
pretty
you
good.
not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
I just saw this morning that they are also bringing out the Predator collection on 4K, but not in North America.
Not surprising. That happens sometimes.
Why is
depending-
that not surprising?
because-
Because I feel pretty surprised by that.
Because sometimes it's honestly, it's probably whoever paid for the rights to remaster it.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of times those 4K remasters in other countries are not very good. Like, it's like, we'll put it out on 4K only in this country, because if this came out in North America, people would buy it and return it because it looks so bad. Like that has happened with like the Goodfellas. I think it's Goodfellas. The 4K Goodfellas that got released in North America
Mhm.
looks like trash. I mean, compared to what it should look like for a 4K restoration. So,
I don't know. I need Predator in 4K.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm pumped about that new movie too.
I am too. The
The
director
new
came
movie's
out and
looking
said it has all the genre bleep that you love.
Now, are we gonna get any reference or any cameos or a CGI cameo of Arnold?
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Or Danny Glover even.
Yeah.
I haven't heard like if we're getting anything.
I'm just, as much as he returns to franchises, I'm a little surprised that he hasn't done something with that, or that they haven't tried to. Well, they might have tried to get him.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I think there is a. They're getting better and better about keeping secrets.
Yeah,
Solo,
that is true.
Solo is a great example.
that was a very good example.
And
I'd never expected Arnold to be in that.
exactly, me either. I mean, the T-1000 in the Star Wars universe, like, so weird. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook right now, we can see chat, but we can't see who's on. So if you're on, say hi.
What about if they got Arnold to come back for Kindergarten Cop retirement party?
That would be amazing.
Did they have retirement? Did they make another Kindergarten Cop?
No, but I'm saying if they did,
If
that
they
would be
did,
the perfect title
That'd
for
be
it.
fine.
Yeah.
I just need some Arnold in some movies that, we grew up watching or something.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing cameo if he's in there as like a retired commander in the new one.
Oh yeah,
like
it'd be perfect,
briefly.
Yeah. What if it was like
absolutely
a
fine.
what if it was like some unseen footage of him being debriefed after Predator 1?
Yeah.
Like you're watching it
That
and
would-
it matches the story that they're kind of putting out in the trailer.
That would be spectacular.
Yeah.
That'd be a great way to link him if they could do the CGI right.
Well, right.
Because
yeah.
I mean, he'd have to look like Dutch back then.
Well,
I
you
wouldn't
don't-
even,
yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
mean-
even do that. I would be like, they brought him back in to talk about it because now Predator's back. Like,
Gotta-
something like
There you
that.
go.
gotta
There
have
you go.
gotta have the handshake though with the
Yeah.
flexing. That's the only way to
And
do
he
it.
can say, "Get to the chopper."
Get to the chopper. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
But they probably won't.
Here's the thing. They've made that movie. It's called The Expendables. 1, 2, and 3.
That is true.
So
Very
true.
true.
that's what we need.
But I can't
Predator,
find those on streaming
Expendables.
either.
And the Chuck Norris joke in
Oh, well.
Expendables 3 is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll just go watch Eraser again.
Oh man, that's a cool. I like
Eraser's good.
Eraser's good.
Eraser's good.
Let's get into movies since we're talking about movies, anyways. James Bond 25 is officially happening, with Daniel Craig will be back. What is likely to be his last James Bond, and Danny Boyle is on board to direct as well.
I'm down.
I am too.
That's fantastic.
2019, I believe, is when we're gonna get it. They'll start shooting here soon. I think maybe it's 2020 before we see it again, but it should be it's James Bond. But the question becomes, after this one, as we get closer to this one, it's going to be who is going to take over as James Bond. Like
And Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth.
I don't think so. See,
An Aussie Bond.
an Aussie Bond.
I'm just saying.
Because James Bond is a moniker. It's not his name. It's a title. And so, I mean, Hemsworth is young enough. Idris Elba is something that has come up 1,000
I think
Yeah.
that would be cool. I think he
That
could,
I
I
get.
could, yeah, I think he could do really good at it.
There's also in the talk of the...
Do you think the fan base would have an issue with that?
Nope. Not with Idris Elba.
Because it's a moniker, it's not an actual character name.
Yeah, I don't think they'd have an issue with that at all. I mean, there's also talk too in the world that there's now a female doctor in Doctor Who, whether James is a male or a female.
That could work.
Jamie Bond.
None. There's women named James King, supermodel / actress. So you could.
Yeah, it could
Jamie
work.
Bond just seems like a bad spinoff,
Jamie
like
Bond.
a Saturday morning.
I
cartoon.
agree.
Yes,
Yeah,
it seems like it comes on right after James Bond Jr.
Exactly. So, but Idris Elba, I think. I mean, you could look at someone like Tom Hiddleston. Would be good.
Yeah.
If you watched, what is that movie? He's the hotel guy. He's running the hotel. You know what I'm talking about?
The Night Manager.
Night Manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Series.
that. Yeah,
The
series.
series with
Series.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, really good. So I think there's certainly that is, it'll be a huge thing.
Yeah, he comes off a little Bondy there.
A little bit.
That sounds bad.
I think he could. So there's a there's a few options there as well. Speaking of the female Doctor and Doctor Who, Doctor Who and Twitch have teamed up to stream 500 classic episodes. So basically, you're going to get classic Doctor Who on Twitch for like the next several weeks, I believe. It's an online special event starting May 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. They are basically going to stream over 500 episodes from 26 seasons over a 7-week period at Twitch Presents. 8 hours of episodes every day, Monday through Friday, and it will repeat twice immediately afterwards. So you're going to get 8 hours, repeat, and then repeat again, then a new 8 hours, repeat again.
That is fantastic.
Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. Good job, Twitch.
Yep. So you will also, if you subscribe to Twitch Presents, you'll get 14 exclusive emotes, each for the first 7 Doctors, which are what will be presented in this series. So hopefully this is the start of something bigger in terms of classic TV and stuff like that, because I think Twitch has an interesting platform for that. In the days of like Netflix and Hulu, you can watch it when you want, stuff like that. But if you can watch it and you've got the chat window up at the same time, like the amount of interaction you could have could be amazing. Although, like, I'll probably try and come in at some point and watch just to see how fast that chat window is moving, because I imagine it's going to be insane. So, yeah, so that's going to be very cool in order to do that. Following up on something we talked about a few weeks ago, the Obamas have decided to enter a multi-year deal with Netflix, spurning Amazon and Hulu and everybody else who's trying to get after them. Multi-year agreement to produce films and series for Netflix, including potential scripted series, unscripted series, docu-series, documentaries, and feature films. So it's very interesting. They said there's no details yet of how big the deal is, but I can only imagine it is something significant. I think they've talked about how a lot of it will be, uplifting, inspirational type stories, something like that. So I think that will be that'll be something to watch out for. Netflix currently has 125 million subscribers. So they're basically making $1 billion a month. Ish. Higher than that. That's what I want. Nick, you look deep in thought over there.
I was just listening.
Yeah.
Trying to contemplate how much money they're going to make. And like I said, I'm still recovering.
Aren't they more valuable than Disney now?
Netflix is the largest, most valuable media company right now. Wow. Bigger than Disney. Interestingly enough that you bring up Disney.
It's crazy.
So we've talked about this Fox-Disney merger a lot, on how it can bring the universe together in terms of Marvel and things like that. Somebody has slipped their way into this negotiation process, and I'm not very happy about it. One of the most evil corporations on the planet, according to some people, Comcast, is preparing to make a superior bid to buy those portions of Fox. So Disney made a $52.4 billion offer for those portions of Fox. Now Comcast said, we're going to do something better. We're going to make it an all-cash offer. Here's the deal. Comcast is widely regarded as a terrible corporation with terrible customer service. Widely panned on Reddit using various imagery. It is if they get in the middle of this, like this is where publicly traded companies, this becomes a little complicated, because Fox is somewhat obligated to do what's best for their shareholders. Now that doesn't mean like the most money is the best offer. Like you look at the guy who just bought not the Jaguars, who just sold their team, Phil.
Panthers,
thank you. It was a cat of some kind.
It was a cat. They were the one of the 2 latest expansion teams, yep. Even though they've been around for a while, along with the Jaguars.
So they got So they took an offer from someone who did not offer them the most money, but it would be the best offer. If Disney's smart, or if Fox is smart, they go with Disney because I don't know, this Comcast thing coming in this late in the game, something just seems really odd about it, and I don't know what. Like, because they were in the bidding process in the beginning, and now they're out, and now they're back, and with some sort of all cash offer. So I don't know what the deal is, but for things that are, you know, I could care less about like the Fox. You know, Fox News isn't part of it. You know, stuff like that. It's the Fox movie properties that I'm more concerned with, because someone like Comcast would be like, "Oh, we own the X-Men and Deadpool, stuff like that. Disney, you're never going to touch them unless you give us $1 bajillion." Like that's the position they're going to take.
Probably.
And that sucks for the fans.
And you know, part of the reason they're probably coming in late is AT&T's getting closer with their merger with another company. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm sure they're trying to gain ground that way.
It's true. I mean, I don't know. This seems bad for the consumer, bad for the fan, which is probably why I'm so against it.
So you're saying it's right on their policy
Yeah,
line.
it's pretty much, right in line for Comcast.
Right in line for Comcast.
Good to know.
So,
Good to know.
If
And
there's one thing they're known for.
We don't have Comcast here in Oklahoma,
do
so
not.
we're strictly basing this on what, you know, everybody else says on the internet. So there you go.
that's true.
But they can still reach in.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have them here, but we'll still.
Oh, they buy a company, they could get us. I mean, it's the same way that AT&T bought DirecTV. You know,
They can still make things difficult for everyone who's a fan, though.
Yeah.
exactly. That's No, I
And
completely
for
agree.
money. I mean, it's their whole thing on net neutrality. Oh, we support net neutrality. Oh, that clause mysteriously disappears off your website.
It was hacked.
Yeah, Comcast, we know
By
how you
us.
do business.
We hacked it.
Yeah.
I just left the password out for everybody to see, and somebody deleted it.
Password 1. So let's
Cry, baby, cry.
let's
Be evil.
Oh, that's a
evil.
good password.
Nice.
That's a good one.
we
Got money? Don't care.
while we're talking about this hack thing, the reason everyone's getting these privacy policy updates in your inbox, if you're curious about that, this new thing it dropped called the GDPR in the EU, which has to do with personal data and its protection from the EU. And it basically outlines policies and things like that you have to abide by in order to remain compliant in the EU, because fines, things like that, are significant. It's about data protection. It's about personal data protection. It's not a bad thing, but the only downside is going to be the policy itself is so. I mean, it is very strict in terms of what happens if your data gets out. Like, we're about to hear about a whole lot more data breaches and how often it actually happens, because now they're required to. By law, they're required to. It will not surprise me if the U.S. gets there at some point, but you're talking about, you know, lobbyists and who knows what here. But it's a big thing over in the EU. Like, there's places who don't abide by those rules that basically there's a bunch of news sites and stuff like that. This went into effect in the EU on Friday.
And Facebook already violated it.
Facebook, Google's already had violation things filed
Like
against
literally
them.
6 hours after it went
Oh,
live, they violated it.
But a lot of news sites, stuff like that, just went offline in the EU.
Yeah, you
because
can't access them.
Can't
anymore.
access them
Yeah.
anymore. So, I mean, I'm all about personal data protection. I think it's a great thing. But I think you're really going to get a sense of how bad things are out there.
I think people need a reality check, though.
I agree.
I don't disagree with the fact that they have to report it,
I don't either.
because we only find out about the really bad stuff, and that's obviously pretty bad. But as a consumer of technology, you're already signing away most of your privacy when you decide to use something.
Yeah.
You might as well know how your data is being taken or used in some way. I mean, that information is at least needs to be reciprocated back to you if you're giving away your right to privacy to some degree.
And you also have the right now to ask what data they have on you.
Mm-hmm.
You can now request it.
That's only in Europe, though?
I believe so, but there's a couple different. Like, I'm fairly certain that, like, a U.S.-based citizen could ask an EU-based company, what data do you have of mine and where is it?
Okay,
Like,
that makes sense.
I think so. Obviously, working in technology, it's something that I've been dealing a lot with in the past week or two. Just trying to figure that stuff out and how it applies over here. But it's interesting. So that's why your emails are getting flooded with, we have new privacy policy. So we don't have a privacy policy because we don't have any of your data. Like, you follow us on Facebook and we
We
love
have
it.
some of Mitch's.
I have all of Mitch's personal data. Speaking of Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, follow us there. Like us there. Rate us there, please.
They have all your data, not us.
Yeah, they have all your data, not us.
We might know your name, and that's
We know if you
literally about it.
We know if you follow us on Facebook. We don't know if you follow us in real life. So
If you follow us in real life, that might not end well.
it's possible. Of course, I wouldn't know. So yeah, that's why your inbox is full of all this
On
stuff.
this week's episode, Nick lays out threats to his stalkers.
I was just
So
meaning
Nick-
I'll call the police.
So Nick challenges stalkers. You have challenged Rhode Island, and I have challenged the EU.
Hey, we're gonna get at least one win out of this.
It's true. At this point,
We're probably gonna get 2 wins.
I believe the episode is going to be titled "Challenged."
I just meant I'll call the cops.
I'm not afraid to go back to prison.
Why you got to put all my business in the streets?
The cops are what he calls his dukes, though.
A little thunder and a little lightning.
I brought the cops.
What are the two from Chips? What's the cops' names from Chips? It's something in, I can't remember.
Salsa, chips and salsa.
No, Chips the show.
I
Salsa,
know.
Eric Estrada.
Dude, I know what you're talking about.
Chips and salsa.
I don't know what their names are. I
Chips
can't remember.
and Salsa. Eric Estrada and somebody else who nobody
Cannot
ever
think
remembers.
of their names now.
Wasn't there a movie a couple years ago?
Yeah, there was like
Dak
last year, I
Shepard,
think.
Michael
Yeah.
Pena, I think. It
Yeah.
tanked badly.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. It was a long-running show about California Highway Patrol. How do you make a movie about that? It tanked just as bad as the Baywatch movie.
I was about to say they had a Baywatch movie.
I watched
Bay-
it,
the
and it's
Baywatch-
actually very
The
funny.
Baywatch movie is hilarious.
Yeah, it's very
We're probably
funny.
gonna watch that this weekend.
It's pretty funny.
They just uploaded it to Hulu. Speaking
It's
of
on
which,
Amazon too.
I'll wait until we get to DC.
Okay.
It's on Amazon as well.
Is it?
All right,
That's how I
let's,
watched
That's
it.
what I'm thinking of then.
let's dig into the two remaining like bummer stories before we get into DC, Marvel, and fun stuff. I say bummer stories. Like this one is not a bummer story. We've talked significantly about that Call of Duty swatting thing that ended up
Ooh.
Yeah.
resulting in somebody getting killed. So the people involved have been indicted, and their charges were released this week. One of the people, because apparently there were two people involved in inciting that thing, not just one.
Maybe the guy who was betting.
Could be.
Okay.
Case Viner is currently facing charges of conspiracy to make a false report, wire fraud, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to obstruct justice. His counterpart is also facing the same thing.
Interesting.
They've also been charged. Earlier this year, 25-year-old Tyler Barris, who has done this before, was charged with state-level manslaughter. Here's what happens if they're convicted. Making a false report, up to life in federal prison and a fine of $250,000. Cyberstalking resulting in death of another, up to life in prison and fine of $250,000. Threatening to kill a person or damage property by fire, 10 years, $250,000. A threat in interstate communications, which has made this a federal crime, 5 years, $250,000. Wire fraud, 20 years, $250,000. False report is 5 years. Obstruction of justice is 20 years. Conspiracy to obstruct justice is an additional 20 years, all with a fine up to $250,000.
I wonder why they like that number so much.
I don't know. That's a good question. But the moral of the story is, if they really want to do this right, those guys go away for life.
Yeah, it
I
should.
agree.
The first guy should.
Yes.
Have you read what he's done since he got charged?
Oh yeah,
Since he's in prison?
No,
Oh,
what's
he's-
been going on?
he's completely. He didn't care. He doesn't care.
Like he doesn't see the problem.
Nope.
He feels like he did nothing wrong. He actually tweeted and said he thought it was funny.
Wait, he tweeted from prison.
I don't know if did he
He
tweet?
tweeted from prison.
Did he tweet from
He
prison?
tweeted from prison because they said there was a glitch in new software that they implemented that gave everyone access to internet
really?
for a span of like 6 to 12 hours. In that time, he tweeted out to his followers, of which he's infamous, so I would think he would have a lot of
Yeah,
followers that just want to watch the world burn. I know we say that often, but that's
That's
the
definitely
mantra
sounds like
there.
what's going on.
He tweeted to his followers and said, proclaimed himself an e-god. Said that he's an e-god.
E-god.
And he can tweet from prison, and threatened that if anyone talked trash about him, that he's going to swat them too.
Oh yeah,
From
He
prison.
he just needs to stay in jail.
From prison.
Yeah.
My
Well-
thing is, okay, you're in prison. Clearly you don't get it, first off, because if you're in prison and you have lots of followers and you can get something out to them, why boast? If they're following you, ask for something. They can send you stuff.
Send me pudding.
For the love of God, please send me some shampoo. You don't know what I have to do to get that in the hair. Ask for stuff. I'm not saying what, but
Yeah.
ask. Use it in a smart way. Don't.
Well, that's the
brag
problem,
in a
though.
way
Is he's
that's-
not using technology in a smart way to begin with, which is how he
There
found
you
himself
go.
in a position that he's in.
Exactly.
There you go. That's just going to make. I mean, I'm sure that thing's going to be headed for a jury trial if it hasn't already.
I don't know
that's
how
gonna
you
make it
fight
a lot
that.
easier.
I really don't know how you fight
I
that. I,
don't
mean,
It's,
I don't know how anybody in their right mind that would sit on a jury for that is going to be like, you know what? He really was just set up. It's all good.
He was
I don't
young.
know how
He
that-
was a kid. He
No.
wasn't thinking. Oh, he tweeted that from prison. Never mind.
Here's the
Never mind.
See, but here's
Yeah.
the thing: if that goes to jury trial, think about the jury selection. Can you have jurors who are technologically savvy?
Well, it's a jury selected of his peers, so I mean, they have
But-
a say in what that looks like.
Yeah, but I'm sure his defense lawyer wants every 60 and 70 year
Non-tech-related,
old.
I'm sure, but those wouldn't necessarily be his peers.
Yeah, but I'm not sure the terms of that. Like during the jury selection process, I assume it's a wide variety of
Yeah, it
of
can be.
people because it's random.
It can be anyone from 18 years to.
whatever.
Well, I don't know if there's a age that they stop calling at. You can. I know in Oklahoma you can opt out of it if you're 75 or older. But we still call people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the thing is with this other like, it's time to make an example because like I just don't.
I see a couple of problems with his current situation. The fact that he has access to technology is a huge problem for me.
Yeah, and that
You're
if
in
that was
prison.
Yeah,
if
why
that
did
was a
he have access to
But
it
no,
in
no,
the
no,
first
no.
place?
Here's what I'm saying. You're in prison, and I get that we want to make prison not such a miserable place to some degree, but you're in prison.
Zero
You
Cool
shouldn't-
couldn't touch a computer.
You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have a computer. You don't need a TV.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You don't need those things. You're
But-
in prison.
But I think part of the reason they have those luxuries is to keep things from getting out of control in prison. Like
well,
you have
okay,
to have
I could
entertainment.
I could see that point because
But
I'm sorry. That's part of prison.
I get like
I'm
I'm
pretty.
not saying he gets DirecTV in his cell. Like
I'm just saying if you commit a crime, and granted, not everybody that's in prison is
everybody's innocent
horrible-
until proven guilty,
well-
and sometimes they're still innocent and proven guilty.
right. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that everybody in prison. Some people just do drug-related things and they get caught with it, and they're not violent. You know what I mean? But if you're doing something like this, there's a special place in prison for you, and it's called a jail cell or a prison cell, and there's no computer and no TV. I'm sorry.
for people
Like,
who do this or
when you
people
take
who
some-
talk during the theater.
Exactly.
I was telling Joni, stop talking. Jeez.
When that's the thing. When you take another life, yeah, absolutely.
I just
And
feel
that's
like
one of the things he says that he just does not get. He doesn't see how this is any of his fault because he didn't actually
he
pull
didn't
the trigger.
actually do it.
Yeah, so he's not guilty
And
according
that's the
to
thing.
him.
That's the technicality. I mean, if I'm a defense lawyer, that's the technicality. You can convict me
Yeah,
for a lot of things.
But he filed a false report.
You can still convict him for those things, but does he get off on? Does he not get convicted of manslaughter because of it?
Well,
like that's
You know
something
what?
that we're gonna.
If you go with the first one, false report.
Yeah, they can put him in life.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
a life
yeah,
in
you've
prison.
got him on
so
enough
I don't
else.
even care if he gets manslaughter or not.
Yeah, the thing is,
as long
like
as he's not getting out.
typically the prison you're going to go to for a false report versus a prison you're going to go to for manslaughter are two very different things.
Hey, I'm not saying I want the guy to get beat up or hurt. I mean, I think
Nope.
he definitely deserves his fair share of payback. But
I don't care if he does.
what I'm saying is, I
I'm not
feel like
saying I
if you
want
put
it,
him in
but-
a, if you put anybody that has truly committed a crime, and granted that's murky, and I get it because there's a guy that was just exonerated like 2 weeks ago.
Works
he
for the
was
White
sit-
Sox? You talking about that guy?
No, it was like a 16 or 17-year-old kid that got arrested for killing somebody and got convicted, but was found innocent like just recently. So I mean, I know that happens, and I know that our criminal justice system is flawed. What I'm saying though is, if you're in prison, it's a punishment. To me, putting somebody in prison, giving them a TV and a computer or access to the internet in some way is the equivalent of grounding your kid and sending them to a room when they have an Xbox and a TV. It doesn't serve the purpose.
Here's the only flip side to that, as I will say. I'll for devil's advocate, I'll play
Go
the
for
other
it.
side.
Go for it. I'd
You
like
have
to
to do
hear
it with a southern accent like Keanu.
I'm gonna go with the Keanu British accent. Whoa.
that was pretty good.
There are people in prison who have done bad things, who are convicted of bad things, who use those things like technology, computers, stuff like that to better themselves. I don't think we should take that away. There are people who have paid their debts to society who would get their GED or get a college degree in prison, come out and become completely like members of society, contributing members of society.
I don't disagree with that.
So I don't think you necessarily take that away from those people. Like, I think there's different.
I think
Types
there's
of
another
prison.
way to do it, though.
There's different types of prisoners. I guess is.
Well,
what
I
it's
guess
like.
what I'm saying is, I think there's a, in my mind.
How did we even get here?
Well, because we're talking about this guy and how he managed to tweet from the prison.
Yeah.
That's how we got here.
And also to note, he has not tweeted since.
Yeah, because it
And
was a
that was
glitch. It wasn't a.
Months
So-
back, so it is.
Kev, I'll say it this way. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. I just am of the opinion that if you're being punished for something, having access to something that in most cases would be taken away defeats the point of punishment. Now, I'm not saying that people don't go to prison, reform themselves, and come out and function in society, even though it's difficult. And they function quite well. I'm not saying that at all, and that's exactly what punishment and all that should look like. Is you should, serve your time, be able to come out into society and kind of pay it back by just living a good life. Like that's absolutely what it's all about. That's the whole reason we discipline kids. I mean, we want to see them make a mistake, learn from it, and grow. So I don't disagree with that. I guess what I'm saying is I struggle with the idea that somebody has committed such a crime, and this is an extreme case because like you said, not everybody has done this. But I struggle with the fact that in cases like these, people have access to that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a catch-22 because I see your point and I don't disagree with that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So for me to say that I completely disagree and they should just be, like in their cells 23 hours a day and one hot meal, like I'm not saying like that. What I'm saying is I struggle with the boundary of what is realistic to teach a lesson.
And what we don't know is just like in said prison, we don't know how that functions. Does everybody have access to a computer? Does few people get access? Like there's a lot of things.
If it's a graduated thing,
Yeah.
totally. I'm
Yeah.
good with that. Does
So,
that make sense?
yeah.
But if it's like everybody's got a TV and everybody's got access to the internet
Yeah.
one time a week, I don't know if I agree with that so much. But if it's like you got to earn your credits or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
your good time, however you want to call it, that's what it is. Cool. I'm good. Like that doesn't bother me a bit because then you're at least going to appreciate the ability to use it if you're earning it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're working towards
At least in
something.
my mind.
Yeah. So
And for those people who are misusing it, then you're blowing it for the people who need to use stuff like that.
They just need
and
to
are
be
doing
tied
it
to a
for the
pole
right
and have
reason.
rocks thrown at them.
Well,
that's a bit extreme, but sure.
he's already going to be in prison.
Nah.
So, I mean, he's going to be the one getting swatted, most likely.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
Let's move on to.
Cat moves us on quick.
I'm moving on. Let's move us on to something else. So the NFL, this is the time of the owners' meetings, things like that. They have adopted a new policy regarding the national anthem that says, if you're on the field, you will be standing, or you will be fined, punished, penalized, or whatever. But you have the option to remain in the locker room, should you so choose. Interestingly enough, the NFL instituted this policy without a formal vote from the owners. They did a sample polling to see where they would land. And believe it or not, there's some dissension in the ranks.
No.
Shock.
49ers owner Jed York says, I abstained from voting. I didn't vote this at all. The CEO of the New York Jets says, you can stand, you can sit, you can raise your fist. I'll pay your fines. That's called free speech,
kinda cool.
people.
It's kind of cool.
NBA coach Steve Kerr has basically said the same thing, talking about you're trying to limit free speech. Like, it is wrong on so many levels.
Well,
And the NFL has put themselves in such a bad position right now because the thing is, like, they did this because they're like, oh, you know, we're losing viewers because of this, that, or whatever. Okay. So they make this policy. But there's so much dissension happening right now from other sports and things like that, that if the NFL has to back off this thing, they're going to do so much more damage to themselves than if they just would have left this alone.
sure. Well, and what Steve Kerr also said was that the NFL has a habit of making policy to its fan base rather than to societal issues. And, you know, I mean, he came out very strongly and suggested that this was tied not only with fan base, but, you know, presidential statements and that kind of a thing, which I don't necessarily disagree with him. But I thought it was very powerful that Steve Kerr, who's a Caucasian male, who's the coach of an NBA team, you know, very well-known basketball player and respected coach in person, that he came out with such a strong statement and even said that he's proud to be part of a league that understands the reasoning behind it and understands that it is not a disgrace to the American flag or to democracy or anything, and it's more about making a statement of, you know, standing up for police brutality and that kind of a thing. I just thought it was very neat that he came out and said that, because he definitely did not have to.
Yeah, it's the, you know, it makes you wonder what's going on at the NFL head office at this point, because if they keep pressing this, they risk alienating their workforce, which is what makes them all of their money, and some of the ownership as well. Not all of them, but some of them. And when you have people like the CEO of the Jets saying, you do what you want to do, I'll pay your fines. Like, it just undercuts the NFL's message. And there was no... That's the thing. If there was like this big like player summit and stuff like that happened, and we talked about, let's do this, you know, before the game, maybe we'll do this if we have, you know, basically like PSAs and stuff like that to play before the games, you know, to help, you know, bring light to societal issues and stuff like that. I understand that, but none of that happened. And so the NFL, like you said, is basically...
And they said they would do other things.
And they said they would do other things.
Yep.
And have we seen other things?
Nothing.
Nothing.
This is the first
I still feel, though, that you, as an organization, you cannot just decide... You should not decide that because freedom of speech... You know, somebody's actions exercising their rights affects your pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's good business to then take a stand against the people that are filling your pocketbook, regardless of the minor effect that it might be having.
Are you saying the people are filling the pocketbook? Are you talking about the
I'm talking
players
about the
or
players
fans?
filling the
Okay.
NFL's pocketbook.
Okay, just make sure you're talking about players
because
and
fans
yeah.
are coming.
Yeah.
And some fans are put off based on on the players' behavior with regard to their free speech.
I wonder how this will play out in the long term, if this is the line that they want to hold to in regards to players wanting to join the NFL. Because, I mean, it used to be, you know, you used to have the USFL.
Yep.
That was gone. You have the CFL, but, I mean, who wants to join that?
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny. So, but there's another alternative coming
Yes, there is.
in the next 2 years.
Yes, there is.
Do you think that this could push some players over to that alternative that wouldn't have gone over there?
I think
I
so.
th-
Just
I
based
think-
on the support. It depends on the support stance that they take. I mean,
I think the money of the NFL for like high draft picks, stuff
Yeah.
like that, is going to be too much of an allure.
That's true.
But for mid-round players and stuff like that, Absolutely. I think you got
They can go over there and be stars.
You could there be stars, maybe not make millions of dollars, but you would be a star. Just like how like arena football, when arena football was here,
I miss arena.
like that fan base was rabidly
Yeah.
passionate about that team.
You know, but that was also a different time too. I wonder how those same fans locally would feel given somebody taking a knee.
You know, it's
In this state?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
think.
I think it's going to play out based on where the team is located.
yeah. But I think I mean,
But I
it's-
also think you have to look at it like if somebody is running a team and they have players on their team that have experienced injustices in some way, and they decide that they want to take a stand for it, put tape over a number or whatever it may be, right? That's their right.
Mhm.
And short of signing away your right in a contract, which I'm sure is probably coming,
That's a good
I'm sure
point.
there's
I didn't
probably
think
some
about
clause.
that.
Short of that, then as an owner, a business owner, team owner, whatever, I almost feel like it's good business to come out in support of your players.
Oh,
Yeah. And I like that the NFL, at least the ones you quoted,
Yeah.
have come out and said like, "Hey, we got you. Just do this. It's all good."
Yeah, there's a couple. It's not the majority. but
Because
there's a
telling
few.
them that they could be in the locker room to make a stand to me is saying we know there's a problem, but we don't want to see it.
Yeah,
Take it
it's
off the field.
basically saying,
To
oh,
me,
you can
that-
protest you want just over there behind
Yeah,
that wall,
yeah, to where
no
nobody
one's
notices
going
it.
to see.
where no one's gonna see it.
It's just like the teacher walkout. I mean,
Yeah.
it was talked about for weeks, and nobody thought it was going to really come to fruition, like on the other side of it, right? And so then when it does, it's like, oh my gosh, we've really got to do something about this. Like this is a big deal. Well, if we had just walked off to a corner and just stood there
Yeah.
and been quiet about it, then nothing would have changed.
I'm curious if the broadcast rights for the NFL would prevent people like Fox or CBS or whatever from basically broadcasting from the locker rooms whenever the national anthem is playing.
You have to figure Fox
You can throw Fox
is
out of
going
that
to
equation.
probably go along with on-field only.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Oh, I don't think it's
I
possible
highly
at all. On the article, Fox and Friends
doubt
is
that
quoted
they
as
would.
saying that they're in full support of it.
Well,
and they're
that's
doing it
Fox.
right.
Well, that's Fox Sports and Fox News are two completely separate organizations.
I'm just
but
saying.
Fox-
I don't see Fox.
Well, Fox because Fox and Friends got involved because Trump issued a statement to Fox and Friends in support of it.
Yeah, I'm just
tells you
saying.
all
I
you
don't
need to
see
know.
Fox treading that water.
Yeah, so like CBS, there's no talent. Like this is something that as the season gets closer, we're gonna have to pay way more attention to. But like you said, it's not a disrespect thing for the flag or anything like that. Like you
No,
said, it's
but-
about police brutality. It's about racial injustice. For everybody, not just not just minorities. And it's but some
it's
people just don't
much-
see it that way.
Well, it's much easier to get people rallied against it by saying they're disrespecting the flag and
Oh,
the
yeah.
military and soldiers in America.
Because it's a minority group.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah.
If the roles were reversed
Yeah.
and the people that were taking a kneel were considered the majority, this would be a
Yeah, they'd
totally
be
different
fine with it.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it may still be a problem. It definitely could still be a problem if that group was a majority, but it's an entirely different conversation. If
What
that
if
happens.
week one happens?
I have a telemarketer calling from Santa Barbara, California.
Let's
Wonder
put
if
him
that's-
on.
I wonder if that's the EGOT guy.
Let's put him on.
We were talking about him.
Let's bring him on.
Yeah.
Let's just
Hello?
turn on the phone. Hello?
Hello.
What if week one happens and like 80% of the league kneels?
That'd be amazing.
What are they going to do then?
Here's the thing: if 80,
And then it just keeps growing.
if 80% of the league ends up in the locker room, here's the thing: that's not. Don't be. It's one of those things that, as a team owner, you have to look at it. If half my team's in the locker room and half my team's on the field,
What's that gonna do to my team?
My team is now divided, and that causes a problem.
I'm
The-
surprised those issues have not popped up on a larger scale than they have yet.
Well, because and maybe I'm wrong. I'm making a huge assumption here, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and assume that players on a football field may not necessarily agree with each other's politics and stances on things. However, one of the things that I will say about football and really team sports as a whole, but really football, it seems more so than a lot of other teams, is regardless of their differences, they support each other and they stand behind each other, even if it's just visually for the fans.
Yeah.
And so by not kneeling but putting your hand on somebody's shoulder, just simple acts that demonstrate true family to me speak louder than being separated, because then while the players in their own mind may be aware, think about the players that are not in the locker room and the spotlight that's put on them by media, by everything else. So then the picture gets skewed and the family starts breaking apart. Like, I just think
I could absolutely see that happening.
I think it destroys the game.
And as a team owner, that's got to scare you.
Because that's not only putting pressure on the players that protest now,
Yeah, my
that's
mom's
putting.
on. Hi, Mom.
Oh,
Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, I thought you said she was calling.
No, she's on Facebook.
Yeah, not only is it putting pressure on the players that are protesting, who've had pressure on them for the last couple of years, but now it's putting pressure on the players that are not, because I'm sure some of them are going to be championed as
Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots. And first off, no one except the Patriots are going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But second, just because they're out there does not mean that they are gung-ho for, anti-protesting.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
live in a
And
world
if they
where,
get put in that box, then that's going to make it tough on them too.
well, and we live in a world where imagery is everything.
And it's just pressure that
I
should
agree.
not be
You know.
happening on either side.
If you think about it, you get, like you said, you start splitting that family apart, and someone's like, oh, I'm just not going to block that guy because he doesn't believe what I believe, and just smash. Like, at some point, that's going to happen. I don't like my own teammate because he disagrees with this or whatever. I'm going to miss this block. I mean, let's face it,
it's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. And as a team
Especially
owner
if the
who
person
guarantees against injury, him not doing that just cost me $8 million, and I want to have that player for a year. I mean,
well, and you got to think about it, especially if it's like somebody that isn't against your protest or your stance on something, but for his own personal reasons decides not to be in a locker room with you, and then gets painted to look that way. It could end very badly for someone who's not necessarily against the process, but just couldn't afford to get docked. you know?
that's what a lot of it's going to be. Those players who are on the edge of getting cut every week and things like that,
Yeah.
they're not going to be in the locker room. They can't afford it. Like if I'm player 53 on a 53-man roster,
Yep.
I'm playing whatever the owner wants me to do because I don't want to get cut.
I think the problem becomes then with the media interviews and focus. I think, and this is where I think the pressure comes in on the players who choose not to be in the locker room if this doesn't get changed. You have to voice the message that you can't demonstrate on field. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
Yeah.
in support, you have to be that voice to say, no, I simply just can't take a pay cut.
Yeah.
And I am 100% behind this cause, and I believe in it.
Yeah.
And work in the community to solve that problem.
But even at the same time, if you're like, I'm only in there so I don't get cut.
I know.
I'm only,
I'm only here so I
I'm
don't
only
get
here so I don't
fined.
get fined.
Yeah, I know.
I'm only in there so I don't, or out here so I don't get cut. You just got cut.
Yeah.
If
That's
you-
what I'm
if you're
saying.
53,
Yeah,
then
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
the owner's
it's
just going to be
it's
like,
a
well,
conundrum.
you just undercut me,
And
so.
this goes to the Colin Kaepernick problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if owners start filling their rosters with people who only believe in what they believe in terms of protest or message or whatever, you get people like Colin Kaepernick who are capable players who don't have a place to go because of that thing, because of how they protested or what they believe, and now you've got Colin Kaepernick suing the NFL for collusion.
Well, and
that
I
becomes
don't
a legal problem.
I don't think that you're going to get away from legal issues to begin with, because the minute you start hiring based on your own beliefs, you're
you're violating.
you're violating
the-
every hiring right there is.
Exactly. So many labor laws. So now people are said, okay, this is the NFL's test at this point. Now that someone can stay in the locker room if they choose to protest or whatever, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, keeping a team from signing Colin Kaepernick. He is better, even on his worst day, than half of the backups on an NFL team right now. But nobody touched him because he was the lightning rod for this whole thing. If a team doesn't sign him now to a backup role or something like that, that all but seals that collusion case against the NFL, because there's no reason not to.
I'd take him on ours.
Yeah?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, that's the thing. So the NFL put themselves in a corner, and we can debate this all day long, but
I think we're all in
I think we're all in
agreement. I mean,
agreement.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
just
need
kinda-
someone who disagrees.
Yeah.
that's true. Where's Roger Goodell when you need him?
Yeah.
on his
Dude,
yacht.
he said that vote
I
was
think if we just
unanimous.
step outside,
Oh,
we
yeah,
can
that was
probably
the
find
worst
people who
part.
disagree.
That was the worst part. He said, yeah, the vote was unanimous.
And
then it-
immediately 3 owners were like, I don't think you know what that word means.
yeah, I said I didn't.
You keep using that word.
I abstained from it, and
Do you
then
even know what a plethora is?
and then it comes out that there was no actual formal vote, and so
Wah,
expect
wah.
the NFLPA, the Players Association, they will
Who were
be
not even consulted.
not even consulted. That if there is even a hint of something that breaks with the collective bargaining agreement for the NFL, expect the NFLPA to sue significantly.
At what point does Roger Goodell get fired?
they just renewed his contract?
Well, right, but that was before all this, right?
They were in the middle. It was last year, in the middle of all this stuff. They renewed
Well,
it.
but what I'm saying is this news break just happened this week.
This part, yeah.
Yeah. So at what point do they just be like, sorry,
Wasn't
we're
this
going
new
to part ways?
deal like 10 years?
I don't know if it was that long.
I would almost
It was
bet.
long.
There's
It-
got to be a clause that they could can him though.
Well, yeah, but they'd have to pay him.
Well, that might be
Roger.
worth it.
From what got leaked from the Goodell negotiations, say what you want about how he runs the NFL. Dude is a shrewd businessman. He asked for a lot of things like, for life, I need access to basically like the NFL's fleet of private jets.
For life.
Healthcare for me and my family for life.
Okay, I get that one. I'm
Um,
totally behind that.
All kinds of things. He's a shrewd businessman. So I guarantee you that if they release him, he's got a golden parachute the size of Dallas Stadium.
Again,
So-
though, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that's okay because then you start changing the face of the NFL.
I agree. I don't disagree at all.
I don't think there's enough
Especially since
support
they're all about
behind it
protecting
right
the
now, though.
shield.
No, there's nothing behind it right now. There's not enough owners behind it because the owners are the only ones who can move him, and all the owners agree with what he's. Most of the owners agree with what he's doing right now, because that affects their bottom line.
Well,
So-
hopefully it'll start affecting their bottom line.
Isn't
It's
that kind
gonna.
of the point?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Isn't that kind of the point of a protest? Is to affect change through a little bit of pain
Exactly.
without actually causing pain.
Exactly.
You know,
Change
like-
through action, which
Yeah,
is all that's
you
trying
know?
to. That's all what's trying to be done.
I mean,
right
we here in Oklahoma, we had a lot of kids out of school for 2 weeks solid to prove a point. That's a lot of money out of school budgets. That's a lot of money, for parents that are having to pay. I mean, it's to affect change. So if you're not comfortable, that's kind of the point.
That's the point. So
Did you guys hear about this Dallas football player that was arrested?
which one?
Terrence
Uh,
Williams,
Is that what it is? Terrence
Yep.
Williams? Yeah.
purple Lamborghini.
Yeah. Smoked his Lamborghini. Terrence Williams.
Yeah.
Gets arrested in Frisco, Texas, of all places, where
Yeah.
IKEA is. And crashes his Lamborghini in the median. I mean, it's smoked.
Yeah.
Somehow gets on an electric scooter and
Goes
crashes. Well, he's riding home and they're following him. They don't even have their lights on. They're just following him. And you see him just like get wobbly and fall over.
He face plants.
And he just kind of slowly gets up, and I guess that's how they apprehended him. But yeah,
Interesting.
he
And then he-
crashes his car and then somehow finds an electric scooter.
I thought he
Just is
crashed
riding
it close to his house, and he went to his house to get the
he
scooter
got the
to come
scooter
back.
and supposedly was coming back.
Yeah.
Face planted. They arrested him. Not sure if they administered a sobriety test or not.
I mean, judging by the picture, he kind of looks drunk.
He's saying that they didn't, but he also said that his friend Kendall Wright,
His
who
team-
plays for the
ex-teammate,
Vikings,
yeah.
and played with him at Baylor, was the one who crashed the car and sent him a text message saying, yo, I crashed your car. It's all busted up. I'm gonna go party, and went to a club, which Kendall Wright is like, no. Additionally, when he was arrested, police found the car keys and in his pocket. He later told them that his phone was in the car, so how's he going to receive that text message? And his attorney completely kind of threw him under the bus and was like, no, Mr. Wright was not involved.
Nice.
Sorry.
Jeez. Well, while I laugh, I hate that this young person has potentially ruined his career, but
Yeah.
the video was pretty funny.
He's a
do
talented
like
receiver.
I mean, I gotta say, like, if it was anybody else, I'd be laughing at this video just like I was anyway, because it's the scooter part of it's what's funny,
Yeah.
because you can't tell who it is. If it didn't have a title on, I wouldn't have a clue who it was.
Thing is,
But-
I'm not sure I could ride an electric scooter even sober and probably not face
Well,
plant
you
at least
got to figure
once.
this guy's what, probably 6'3"
If he's a
or
receiver,
taller.
he's got to be.
Yeah. So he's on this little scooter and he's that big, like
an
it just looks
little
funny.
electric razor.
No, it's actually looks like a Vespa or something. But
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
All right, so let's dig into our three favorite topics: DC, Marvel, and Star Wars. Let's go with DC first. The word on the street is that there is a Warner Brothers.
Zack Snyder cut.
No, not Zack Snyder cut. I know. Warner Brothers. Hello. I seem to have lost my interwebs. Interesting. Huh. Interesting. They're going to start talking about. So Warner Brothers went out and registered a bunch of different domain names for Wonder Woman 2. And so many.
Some of these are just amazing.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman Arrives, Wonder Woman Cheetah, Wonder Woman Lives, Wonder Woman Minerva, Wonder Woman Part 2, Wonder Woman Part 2 with eyes, like Wonder Woman Part I, Wonder Woman Returns, Wonder Woman Rises, and Wonder Woman 1980 through Wonder Woman 1989.
My favorite is the Wonder Woman Cheetah.
Yeah.
I want Wonder Woman. She's back.
Yes. So they are obviously in the middle of. We know that the movie is
Wonder
taking
Woman
place
Bank.
in the 80s. And so we know that that's happening. Something else that is Chris Pine has been seen on set of Wonder Woman 2, which is interesting considering of what happened to Steve Trevor in the first one. So we don't know if we have a resurrection thing or if we have a flashback thing. But Chris
I think
Pine,
he crashed into an iceberg.
it's possible. He has a... So he has been seen on set. So now people are wondering what the whole deal is there. It is a... I don't know. I think we've got a release date for it, but I'll be curious what the title ends up being. We know that Kristen Wiig is going to play Cheetah, which I'm still not 100% like there, but okay. There was some discussion this week of. So Zack Snyder is on. I think it's called Vero. Is it Vero? That's
that new social media thing,
platform. Yeah. So he's big into. I don't know if he's an investor or what, but they were talking of There was some discussion happening with Jay Oliva, who was the director for Dark Knight Returns, the animated ones, and he did storyboards for Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman. And he's come up and basically said that Zack Snyder had a 5-film plan for the DC universe, which would have resolved all the arcs set up in Justice League in a final film. And so, Zack Snyder is no longer part of the DC universe. He's not even part of that crew anymore. Nobody really knew about the 5th film. They talked about, Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. But there was going to be... because I guess he drew storyboards for some of these things. He said it would resolve everyone's arc, Superman most of all, because this started with him in Man of Steel. Man of Steel is meant to be the first of a 5-part story, and a direct sequel is never in the plans. So there's some, it's interesting. If he was doing storyboards, he may have more insight to that than anybody else. So that's pretty cool to get some more information on that. So let's go. Let's run over to Marvel real quick. There's a Deadpool 2 extended cut coming.
That's awesome.
12 to 13 minutes longer with more jokes, and including the cut after credit scene will be in the movie.
Oh, okay.
So the baby Hitler scene will happen. So the director is quoted as saying there is an extended cut, and I think they may want to spin that out of a special thing, but right now we're just taking our time going back to the director's cut and sort of collaborating with Ryan, Rhett, and Paul, making sure we're all getting all the jokes we want. It'll be a fun and it has to be fun and sort of a fun collaboration. So what I didn't realize is some of the stuff in Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds got a writer's credit on the movie.
Oh, really?
Which I didn't notice.
In other words, he wrote the script?
He wrote some of it, some of the jokes and things like that.
That doesn't shock me at all.
He did say he is not responsible for the Martha joke. He said, that is not me.
However, that was pretty dang funny.
That was very
great.
funny.
That was one of the things that I think Deadpool did really well, was all the jabs at DC.
Yeah.
Only because, and even jabs at itself. you know.
And jabs at the MCU,
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I think.
which
Jabs at
it's not a
X-Men,
part of.
Yeah, jabs.
Yeah.
Even jabs at X-Men.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's one of the things that the character of Deadpool does really well.
Yeah.
And he, you know.
They said that there's also some of the lines. You know, they took multiple takes and things like that, and that some of the scenes will basically be the same, just with other lines used.
Okay.
I noticed they changed the part with Cable where he's slicing and dicing on the bullets
From the trailer?
from the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Instead of saying your bullets are really fast, he just went, "Ow."
yeah. Yeah.
so it's so who knows? I'm sure that will be the Deadpool Deadpool 2 second anniversary cut or whatever it's going to be. We do know that Deadpool will next come back in an X-Force movie, not a Deadpool movie. So which
It's a family movie.
It's a family
It
movie.
is a family movie, yeah.
It is a family movie.
Don't take your family
Yeah, don't take your family.
to
Only
see this
the
family
only
movie.
the adults in your family.
Take the adults. Absolutely.
Leave the kids.
So a movie came out this weekend.
No.
A movie called Solo.
Is that- do you go see that by yourself? Is
You
that
do. You go see it by yourself.
Yeah, they won't let groups in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Single ticket sales
You
only.
can only
Gotcha.
buy one ticket at a time.
Gotcha. Hey, speaking of that, did you notice that on our tickets? Well, when we went to go pay for ours, your name was on our ticket.
Yeah, because I bought all the tickets.
Dang. I was trying to use the
Even all the
code.
D's.
Yeah,
All the D's.
all the
Yeah.
D's.
His
Yeah,
name
because
was
I
on
buy
all
all
the D's.
I buy all the tickets.
Yeah. No, I figured that out afterward. But Johnny's like, "What's that about?" I'm like, "I don't know. Whatever. Just pay it."
Yeah. Because I buy all. Yeah, since I buy all the tickets, like everything around that, whatever ends up tied to me.
Jared owns our seats.
He
I own
does.
your seats.
Now, and he takes our points. Apparently,
I do take your points too.
That's dirtiness.
I'm basically a bank. So
This is true. This is true.
Because I
Would
buy
agree with
tickets
that.
months in advance. So, but I don't think we have anything else coming up. Really, I mean Jurassic. When Jurassic goes on sale,
Which looked, I don't know. I was a little more excited about it until I saw the
Second
longer trailer.
trailer.
I was kind of like, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a little silly.
yeah,
It's
we'll
Lost
see.
World.
It might be.
It's looking similar.
Yeah.
I'm sure it won't be the same thing, of course.
Yeah.
But they're off the island.
I just
least
think at some
partially.
point you're starting to get you're pushing a little too far.
Yeah. We'll see.
I will reserve until I see it,
I'm
which I
still
should have done with Solo.
I'm still gonna go see it.
Yep. So back to Solo.
Phil, did you like it?
We can't really. Yeah.
Yeah, he can say if he liked it or
Yeah.
not.
Did
It's
you
not
like
spoiler.
it?
We're
Did
not
you
going
like
to
it?
spoil
We're not
anything,
gonna
right?
spoil
No.
anything.
Okay. Better than I thought it would be.
Okay, all right.
Better than I thought it would be. Story was entertaining. Loved all the characters that they made. They did the classic cliche of making an awesome droid that they've been doing lately. That was one of the highlights of the movie.
Don't spoil.
L3. I won't.
Okay.
L3. That was Karen Gillan, wasn't it?
That was not Karen Gillan,
That
but
sounds
that's
just
what
No, I,
like
Shanna
I thought it was.
too.
I thought it was Captain Phasma. I thought it was.
I thought it was Gwendolyn Christie for a
Yeah.
second, but
Yeah.
I thought they wouldn't do that. No, it's some girl who is not a big name, has barely been in anything. She's been in like 8 episodes of God, what's it called? It has like all the doctors and companions in it. Broadchurch.
Broadchurch. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but aside from that, really, she hasn't been in much. Which hopefully this will be a launch for because she
Yeah.
delivered those lines very well.
Yeah.
Even what's his name, Ehrenreich,
Yeah.
Alden.
Alden.
Uh,
Whatever.
his acting was not as actually it wasn't bad. We'd heard a lot of bad stuff, so I tried not to go in with an impression already, but it's hard to do once you hear that,
Of course, yeah.
and it makes you amplify the bad that you do see already. And despite that, I came away with a feeling of, yeah, that felt like Han. That felt like Han at that age. A little more cockiness, which, we know he's going to have. And I'm sorry I'm going to say it, but a little more hope than he's had
I just
later on.
it
And
just
we
threw me off
see
when
why.
Thor was in the movie. I just couldn't figure that one out.
Do what?
I said it just threw me off when Thor was in the movie. I couldn't.
And
figure it out.
Arnold.
Yeah.
Where did they get these
Figure it out.
cameos?
But I liked it. I thought it was good.
And Loki popping up out of nowhere. That was welcome.
with the Tesseract, no less.
He'll never catch me in this universe.
I thought it was good. I mean, it was. I was really not sure until I don't even remember what movie we went to go watch, but there's a second trailer that played, and I was like, okay, I'm in.
Second trailer is way better than the first.
Yeah. So I until that happened, I was kind of iffy about it because I didn't feel like they were really advertising it very well to begin with. And then anyway, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was really good. It tied a lot of stuff together for me that I wanted to see, and I didn't know that I wanted to see it until I saw it. So it was pretty cool.
I'm going to dissent slightly.
Go for it.
It's not that I didn't like it. I enjoyed it. Like, to me, it met the level of the first trailer, not the second trailer for me.
Okay.
Because it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, there's like a grand something about a Star Wars movie.
Kind of like Rogue One.
Kind of like Rogue One. Like, this is our first, like, real, like, I can think of off the top of my head, like, real, like, super character focused. So,
Yeah.
while it wasn't as big and as grand as a Star Wars movie, it felt like a space heist movie. I mean, it's basically, it's Towering Inferno and something else. Like, it's a story we've
It's me.
seen and heard before. It was enjoyable. And like my favorite parts were the movie, like you said, we're tying in the things like, oh, I know that he got the Falcon through a card game, seeing that's not a spoiler, but he knows that. Seeing that was cool. Like how, that the other things that happened, meeting Chewie and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
those things were really enjoyable, and those things are what made the movie for me.
There was
I agree.
one of those things that made me go, I can't say it yet until we do our full-fledged review.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys off air, but
But it was
you're gonna tell me off. That doesn't sound very nice. Please
It
don't.
was-
tell you off
It'll
air.
hurt my feelings.
it was enjoyable. It's a movie that fits well in the universe. I like what it's setting up next.
Do you think that it's gonna be a 3-movie deal, right?
Well, let's talk about how much money it's not going to make.
Yeah.
So, financially, initially they were estimating 130 to 150 million dollar opening weekend. Now they're saying 105 to 110.
Yeah.
So it's coming way, way down. Now, one of the main things I think they have to blame for themselves is the fact that they didn't market this movie at all. They thought
they
it was that it's a Star Wars movie. This is what it is.
Well, they were
What
going to
did I
ride
say?
the coattails of Last Jedi, is what it was.
Which was a risk considering how polarizing Last Jedi was for some people.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they put it right on the heels of Deadpool, which is going to split an audience already.
And I think they were counting on the fact that Ron Howard was directing it.
Ron Howard saved that movie. I mean,
I agree. I agree, but I think they were banking a little bit more on his name for a genre that he's not necessarily done.
And maybe that's why it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie, because Ron Howard tells very intimate stories, and Star Wars movies are very big and grand.
They're always, yeah.
And so maybe it was because it was that. Not that you shouldn't go see it. Go see it. Like, absolutely. There.
If you're a fan, it definitely ties in a lot of stuff that you
want.
want.
Even if you're even like a very casual fan, go see it.
Well, there was a specific point in the movie where people got very excited for one reason or another, and my wife says, "Why are they excited? Why is that a big deal?" I said, "I'll explain it later." And then afterwards, when we get to the car, and she's like, "Okay, explain." I started explaining. I said, "And you saw how not everybody did that? It's because they're not real fans." And she goes, "Oh."
So it is. We'll get into it next week, but it was good. Like, it was good, but not it. Like I said, it was first trailer good, not second trailer good.
It was not your normal Star Wars movie. It
Correct.
Was, to me, though, I think they kind of prepped you for that with Rogue One.
See, but Rogue One still felt like a Star Wars movie to me.
Just because
Rogue
it was
One felt like a
grand.
different one.
Yeah, just because it was
it
grand.
very much had a different feel. It had a grand feel, but I
Yeah.
think Han had that or Solo had that as well. Rogue One felt like a war movie.
I think the biggest difference though, between Solo and Rogue One is Rogue One is tying together the
Universes.
events leading up to the original movie, whereas this is telling the backstory of somebody. So I think that's
And
why it
tying
feels different.
to different things that we didn't know about yet.
Well, I am behind on some of the feeder parts that go in there. I know there's a huge tie-in with Rebels. I missed it. I overheard somebody saying that. I had seen it on a commercial, like one particular aspect of what happened in the movie on a commercial for Rebels, but I'm so behind on it. I don't really understand the significance of it, I guess. But Clone Wars, definitely saw the tie-ins there. And the only thing that I walked away from really, truly confused about with Solo is the time frame. Where is it within the timeline?
It is
A
somewhere.
long time ago.
I
in a
I
galaxy so
saw.
far away.
Thanks.
I looked at this yesterday and
Thanks.
I totally
It's
just
after.
forgot.
It's after Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like,
it is
fair
after
enough.
Phantom Menace.
And it's after episode 3.
Yeah.
It has to be somewhere between
You think
episode
it's-
3 and Rogue One. It has to be.
Do you think it's after 3? You don't think it's between? Because there are certain characters in 3 you think you would have seen.
Okay, it could be between Rogue One and episode 4. Could be between that. But it's got to be somewhere in that area.
It's got to
And
be before 4.
Well, it's obviously before 4, but what I'm saying is it could be leading up to that. That's why I was thinking that it must be
Yeah.
between 3 and 4.
When we do a breakdown, the full
Yeah.
breakdown of it, we'll get into it.
Anyway,
Another character who the next character film we're likely to see too,
I'm pumped about.
James Mangold is on board for developing a solo Boba Fett movie.
which would be awesome.
Down.
And so Lucasfilm is also apparently officially developing an Obi-Wan movie.
Which would be cool.
With Stephen Daldry in negotiations to direct.
A lot of people
Because
have been
here's the
asking
thing,
about
if you
that.
do an origin story of Obi-Wan and stuff like that, you can cross these things over
Mhm.
if the timelines are right.
Well, Obi-Wan's older than Han, so
Conceivably, you could.
it just depends on at what point you would cross those over. But
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely could.
So,
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. So yeah, go see it. We'll talk about it more in detail next week. But
So if they start coming out with this movie a year, which
I don't think that's
is
a
a
good
very
idea.
Call
I'll
of
just be
Duty
honest with
approach
you.
to it.
it's 2 movies a year, isn't it? Or every 6 months?
So
It-
far, it's been every 6 months. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, but I
With the
mean,
exception of the grander movies, those are about once a year. But,
But
I
a
would
Star
think they
Wars
can't keep
universe
doing this,
movie
though.
every 6 months.
yeah,
I mean, unless they want something that rivals the MCU, which they already own, and is going to. I mean, you can't do that without being in direct competition
Mm-hmm.
with your own universe that you've created. Then
It's
gonna cause a loss of
Star
money.
Wars fatigue.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
I don't think that while there are a ton of stories that I would love to see, I think the majority of fans are the same way. I think if you start rushing them in that way or producing them that way, that it's going to get saturated. And then the timeline, which is already somewhat confusing for the casual fan or non-fan, becomes even more convoluted and confusing because you get episode 8 and then you get something that happens before episode 2. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just, well, and if you talk about Obi-Wan, you're talking before episode 1,
Yeah.
you know? So that's part of it.
So
unless
Sonya?
they do a Obi-Wan between episode 3 and episode 4, which would fit because Ewan's not so young anymore.
That's true.
And then we don't. I mean, we're not guaranteed. You were right, by the way, on the
I got
timeline
lucky.
placement. You
there
nailed
was-
it.
There were some things
It's between
in the movie
episode
that-
3 and 4.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah,
it's actually between 3 and Rogue One.
yeah.
See, that-
It's before Rogue.
Okay.
I'll explain why when we're off air.
Got it.
There's no guarantees that he stayed on Tatooine for all those years.
It's true.
He probably had some adventures.
Well, I mean, at the end of episode 3, we see him on Tatooine.
Yeah,
I think you could conceivably do something between 3 and 4.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's 18 years. Yeah,
Or you could even do something during the Clone Wars.
he
when all
aged a
that stuff's
ton
going
during
on.
that time, but
Yeah. It's that desert living.
I was going to say, desert will do it, man.
Desert
desert will
living.
do it.
he had no conditioner or
No conditioner.
And are we
something
sure
for
Luke's
his
18?
skin.
Are we sure
Ah.
Luke's 18?
Moisturize it. Well,
I don't know.
he may be 20.
Okay. Those 2
So
years
How
could do
old
it,
do you
man.
have to be to drink blue milk? Like, I don't even know.
I thought
Oh, they
that was
start
just
you
like breakfast
young.
milk.
Yeah,
But they let him in a bar. What's the drinking age on Tatooine?
Six.
This is the,
we need to know this
this
information.
is the question we need for
6.
next week.
The
What is
drinking age at Mos
on
Eisley?
Tatooine?
Yeah,
Eisley
I'm sure.
6.
Do you have credits?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah. Hey, you'll
That's why
never
there's
know
no.
a more wretched
That's why
hive
there's
of
no
scum and
children
villainy.
standing around trying to trick adults into getting the beer, because they
That's
don't
true.
have to do that on Mos
That's
Eisley.
true. They get that. They're death sticks. So,
The jet
Death
sticks.
sticks. You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and think about your life.
I want to go home and think about my life.
All right. Well, we're going to go home and think about our lives now.
Nah,
This
my life
is-
is great.
This is going to wrap up episode 88. We're just going to call it Challenged for Gather the Nerds. We'll be back next week with more stuff. We'll talk about Solo in depth and other things that have gone on. We're kind of getting to that point now during the summertime that there's not a lot happening. Like it's kind of so we might see the grand return of some on-screen Would You Rather. I think might be fun. Just to see Nick's face. when
I was
figure
about to
out the
say Nick's
question.
reaction that needs to be filmed.
At that point, we're going to go to full screen Nick. Like- so, all right, guys. Well, until then, this will wrap it up for Gather the Nerds. I'm Cav. That's Nick.
See you guys.
Church 2.
Be kind, guys.
See you guys. Bye. All right, clear and recording still on Facebook.
On
Hey, let's give a would you rather real quick while we're
yeah,
still on
yeah,
Facebook.
let's not. Let's
Or-
not.
Would you rather?
Yeah, to Nick.
Mm.
Nick, would you rather eat an entire moldy grilled cheese sandwich
Okay.
or lick 5 moldy toes?
Hang on, I'm going to go full screen with Nick here. That's like-
Oh my god.
I mean, you got to lick him. You got to get in there in between.
Is this a moldy gluten-free hamburger bun?
I'm gonna say it's gluten free for you, so
Okay.
you don't have to worry
I
about
mean,
that.
Oh, God.
But it's an entire sandwich.
I'm gonna eat the sandwich. I'm not licking toast, man. That's
Okay,
disgusting.
the sandwich is covered in the mold, so I mean the entire outer layer you're gonna go through mold to get to cheese and then go back to mold.
in cheese mold anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's
processed mold.
I'm not
there
licking
is a
toast,
difference.
so-
There's a reason it's not called a grilled mold sandwich or a mold burger.
A
Mold burger. Here's the downside. I would love to use Mold Burger as a title, but no one's going to have any clue because we're not recording still.
Just throw it on there.
We're
Just throw it on there as a hashtag.
mold
Facebook.
burger.
Yeah.
Hamburger. Sorry. I'll just have to suffer through it either way, so it's gonna be a burger.
What if it's toes you know?
No. Mm-mm. Nope.
The
In
toes
which case you can
know.
tell the person, hey, you need to take care of those.
If it were toes I knew, I would be washing the feet. So yeah, sorry, not gonna happen.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to do either one, but I think the lesser of two evils is the hamburger for me.
The Mold Burger. Got it. Yep, we'll call this like...
Speaking of Mark Hamill, since we were talking about since we were talking about Star Wars, did you guys know that he voices on Troll Hunters, the show?
Yeah.
Harper was watching. I was like, man, that voice sounds really. That kind of sounds like the Joker.
Yeah.
A
And
I
I
looked it up.
A
was
lot
like,
of his villains
that's-
have that
that's Mark Hamill.
same undertone.
yeah.
Okay. All right, guys.
He was
You
in
guys
a movie
gotta-
called Wing Commander.
Yes, he was.
He was in Wing Commander?
Nerds That Geek just posted that. Hey, Nerds That Geek, you're
Hey.
getting. There you go, right there.
We'll see you in
there you
Denver.
are. See you in Denver, guys.
In a couple weeks. Yeah.